Yeah, so basically, that sounded dumb. Yeah.
We're Jennie and James, two Canadians from the opposite sides of Canada who met in Whistler in 2015.
This is where our van life journey began, with our first and second camper vans before moving abroad.
Having done van life in Canada and Australia, we've experienced the bitter cold, the extreme heat, and a whole lot of ups and downs.
In the summer of 2020, we decided it was time to take our hobby to the next level and build camper vans full time.
After building several vans, we wanted to share with you what we've learned. Subscribe and follow along in our first build series where we show you how to do everything from square one to the finishing touches. Hey everyone, we're Jennie and James and we're continuing our van series on our 2018 Promaster. We've got the 159 extended and today we're going to tell you about how to prep your van for your spray foam appointment.
So we like to do spray foam insulation for a couple of reasons. The first being it just saves you a ton of time. When we did our first Sprinter, we spent probably 2 to 3 days doing board insulation all the way around the van.
Foam board.
Yeah, foam board. And it just took ages to install. And we also found that no matter how much time we spent or how good of a job we did filling in all the cracks, it just wasn't gonna be perfect ever. And so with spray foam, we'll show you around in a second, but it just does such a great job of filling all of the cracks. Everything's completely covered, and we really don't think you can get a better coverage, like more full insulation than you get when you spray foam.
So if you are in the Vancouver area building a van, we definitely recommend Element Spray Foam. So they're located in Abbotsford. We drove our van out to their location and they gave us a really good deal. So ask for Colin, I'm sure he'll hook you up as well. And they did an awesome job.
So we didn't film anything while we were getting all the prep done because we were in a bit of a rush. We had the appointment the next day and we just had so much to do, so we just said screw filming and we'll just show you now. But there is a fair bit of prep work you need to consider before you take your van to spray foam appointment. The first one would be wiring. So we've got basically all of our electrical planned out throughout the van. We know where every wall receptacle or button or whatever we're putting on the wall is gonna be. And we made sure we ran all the wires beforehand so that they're nicely tucked in behind the spray foam. So this is like lights here, we've got them wired in series, and you don't see where everything goes because it's just held in place by the spray foam. So first, when you're putting your wires in, you want to make sure that you tape the wires sticking outright, like basically 90 degrees from the wall. Because if you just leave them coiled up behind there, they're just gonna get buried by the spray foam. So you just need to make sure they're coming out exactly where you wanna have them, just so they don't get buried like that. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is to make sure that you label everything. So this is our lights kitchen wire, and it goes all the way back to here. This is sort of our battery central where everything's gonna be connected, but you just need to make sure you know which wire is actually what so that you don't connect things to the wrong spot in the end, if that makes sense. So just label both ends of every wire as soon as you put them in.
So I just want to reiterate how important it is that you plan everything out before you spray foam, because basically once you do add spray foam, everything's permanent. So you can't shimmy your wires out, you can't add new wires in. So yeah, it does have to be completely planned out. If you did have to add something in later, you could always like chisel out a route for your wire, but it's obviously not very ideal.
So the next thing you need to consider is where you don't want your spray foam. So obviously we had our windows here. We don't want any spray foam in there. And around the little trim that we made behind there, we put tape so that no spray foam would come in through any of the cracks. So that's one area. Another area was these back pillars. You need this open to access the tail lights, so you definitely don't want to be filling that up with anything. And same goes for the sliding door on the other side. If there's any spots like this area up here, it's actually got a latch mechanism that's in that side. I don't know if you can really see. So you need to make sure that's open just in case anything ever needs to be repaired there. So just have a good look around your van to see where there might be any moving parts that you might need to access at some point, and definitely don't fill that area up. The last thing you need to consider is all of your strapping or flashing, whatever you want to call it, and any framing around anything that needs to be in there. This flashing probably isn't super important. Like, it probably could be added after, but it just makes it a lot easier if you get it done beforehand. You don't have to chisel out any areas to make it a little smoother. And then of course these windows, we wanted to make sure this was framed out as it would be. If we had had more time, we probably would have done this differently, but we were honestly rushing around till like 12:30 the night before our appointment. So we really just like tried to get this done quickly. So yeah, I'd probably recommend like nailing this into like another beam that goes across just to make sure it's secure. But when we did put it together, it fit really like tightly against the outside of the window. And now with the spray foam, it is like held in. So I really don't think that's going anywhere. So it's not the end of the world, but just something to consider. A side note on these windows, Jenny had a great idea of using them as essentially a foot extension. So when our bed's finished, we're basically gonna plan that like the mattress will come right up to the end of this, and these windows are gonna act as maybe a 3 to 4 inch on either side extension for sleeping width-wise. And so me at 6'1" should be able to fit across with no problems.
So as James mentioned, you want to get all your strapping on, preferably before the appointment. So what we did, we kind of planned out where we're going to be doing tongue and groove and where we're going to be doing tiling and stuff like that. So first we just measured out good spots where we can have a full strap, and these are going to be boards where we can attach our tongue and groove to. So probably just use a nail gun to set those in really clean. To add electrical boxes, we kind of planned out a few places where we want to have our electrical outlets or switches, and to make it a little bit cleaner you can do like double or triple gang boxes. But to do that you want to have 2 straps, and we just drilled these right into the structure there. Just a side note, I did tape all the wires as close as possible to the wall of the van so that when we do drill in, we aren't gonna nick any of those wires. But anyway, so we got 2 of these longer straps, and then we just cut 2 small pieces to make like a little H, and that way we could secure our receptacle box. And just to prep for the spray foam as well, I just taped off any of the holes so that the spray foam wasn't coming into the receptacle. I think code is having about 3 inches of wire coming out, so that's another thing to consider when you're wiring up your van.
So basically all the areas we decided to get spray foamed were the pockets in the side and back doors, and then just the ceiling and both side walls. And then we made sure to get all of the ribs filled just so it fills in all those cracks and keeps all of the wires nice and secure. And then for the floor, we are doing that, but we're just gonna do that ourselves, and we'll just show you that in our next video.
So just to recap, the 3 things you want to have finished before your spray foam appointment is wiring your entire van and having everything labeled. You want to do all of your strapping, and also have everything planned in terms of all your little H's with your electrical boxes. And then the third thing is you also want to have your solar panels installed, at least partly, because you want to have your solar panel wires underneath the spray foam with everything else.
Yeah, for us, like we did say, we were in a bit of a rush, so we ended up not installing our panels completely. We actually just ran the wires through the ceiling and then sealed it up with the cable entry box on the roof. And then we're just gonna end up installing the panels later in our next video, actually.
So we just taped up the ends, or I think we bagged, like triple bagged the ends just to make sure that the wires on top were sealed still, but that just gave us a little bit more time to actually install them where we want them.
Alright guys, so that's it. It might not seem like a lot to consider, but it can be pretty time consuming. So learn from our mistake, leave yourselves at least 2 to 3 days to plan out where everything's gonna go and have it all installed before your spray foam appointment. And if you guys want to keep watching our videos, next up we're going to be putting a fantastic fan on our roof, cutting a big hole.